Alright everyone, this is Steven, aka Sdabadaba Do from Voyage Century Online. I want to talk to you today about my current setup. Today's date is the 15th of July 2019. I want to explain what my stats are, why I went this route, and why I feel this setup is one of the better setups for PvP in this profession against pretty much any other profession. I've got DarthDread over here, and there's a couple bystanders in the arena already. They were talking about the videos from the other day of London Siege and Petro. I'll go ahead and clear out that chat. So Didi's going to be my test subject in demonstrating some of my skills. So I'll be typing to him throughout the video so you can see what I am going to do. But first off, I'm going to show you my stats for land, what I normally run. So just got the basic 160 hat. I'm a hitter, so I don't feel there's a need to upgrade it right away. I do have shield strike on it. I do have other saved stats or skills such as Wolf's Howl level 4 and the the crystal armor that gives anti-crit level 4, but I choose not to run that because my goal is to survive and I don't want people hitting me, especially when they get close. I'd rather them get a chance of getting stunned. So this is a really useful skill that I have. It works quite often when someone does get close to me, especially in Petro. Next off, I got my Expeditionary Military Will Persistence. This took a long time to grow. You can't really see the stats on it right now. I'll move it off so you can see it a little better. So I've got Critical Strike Resist 45. This took a while to make. What I had to do is I had to use Blank Hydra Head and upgrade it to where I wanted to. It took a lot of Gold Faith cards to do the upgrades. I got to 45 crit resist and I was like, I feel like this is good enough, because when my Hydra Head had about 40, I was running around wearing my Hydra Head instead of this. So this right here alone gives me 100 anti-crit. Next, we're going off to my gun. It's a 168 gun, part of the 168 hitter set. Not too bad on forges. Could be better, but I'm currently upgrading Sea Battle. It is currently maxed out. One of the skills that I have on here is called Goddess's Grace. And what it does is it basically resets the weapon skill when I'm attacking someone. I don't have that much critical when I fight tanks. Usually tanks are running about 250 to 300. So it's very hard for me to crit them. But one thing about the gun, if you are familiar with it, is that it has a unique skill to take away someone's HP. I believe the skill is 12,000. It's called Featherfall, and it plus 28% of that, I believe, is 15,000. We're going to demonstrate it here on DD in a bit. Anyways, the Goddess Grace skills, it has any attack I do on someone has a 5% chance to reset the weapon's cooldown. Basically what that means is sometimes I could be running the skill non-stop. In cases it has happened to where it runs non-stop. I've got the Goosey Charm. That's one of my mini charms that I carry in my arsenal. This is an IM only charm. It was, I believe, 20,000 when I first got it as a reward. Talos Ring 168, high reaction, and all my drills on here are damage bonus. I do have this jeweled scabbard. It does give me critical when I do use it. I don't use it too often depending on who I'm fighting, just because I know I don't have enough crit to fight them. This is a 170 ring. I believe that I was in a 165 hitter setup and I needed more reaction for the instance, so I decided to make the spare ring 170 right away and just work on reaction, and I haven't touched a reaction since, and this is probably about a year ago. The rest of my badges, not too, there's people who have better reforges than me. Willpower is basically, if you're going to get crit, it's going to be reduced. Talos armor is crappy on the forging just due to the fact that this was not my first armor. I bought this armor from someone. It was 160 and didn't have any forges on it at the time. And I basically just upgraded it to 168 as soon as I got it. Illusionary Spirit's really well for combo moves with general skills I have. What it does, if you're not familiar with it, is as soon as I get to a certain threshold, 10%, which would be about 12 to 13,000 HP, depending if I'm running skills or not, it'll reduce all incoming damage by 99% and increase my output damage by 99% on top of the 28% set bonus that you can see at the bottom. And this is the last ring necklace. Increases my technique quite a bit. I did work on this for a while, but haven't touched land in a very long time just due to the competition on Sea Rising. And I do get a city flag, primarily just for Petro. I don't do much PvP here because there's really not too much of it. And the critical strike damage reduction, it's always a plus to have. It does cost quite a bit of money, but when it helps you win, it's kind of worth it, especially when you're having to make flags that requires you to win quite often, and it gets pricey. Moving on to my skills for this profession. Do a little something out of the norm for an armed businessman. A lot of people say, oh, you need to get enhanced sniping. Well, enhanced sniping takes so long to load and fire. By the time sniping goes off, I could probably have about 3 to 5 shots already off on someone else before enhanced sniping actually fires. So I didn't even bother with this. Enhanced wounding shot. This skill is definitely annoying. A lot of people complain about it. There's been complaints on the forum about it. With treasure hunters, not so much ABs. Just because right now I'm the only AB that utilizes gun skills. I've got the enhanced rapid fire, basically just do more damage. I don't know what the difference is with or without it, but I have it anyways. One day I'll do a test on it and see if it's worth keeping or not. If it's not worth keeping, then I'll probably put that point into prior restriction. And then I have the basic heals as any standard AB, first aid, fast heal, group heal, and then increased medical knowledge. I have my prior restriction, and that's used on certain areas. If someone utilizes disperse, or I know is going to utilize disperse, I will put on the prior restriction so they cannot use it and it lasts for 10 seconds. It could be the difference between life or death. And then I also have passion. I think full skills I probably get about a 49,000 passion. I'll find that out right now. Anyways, going on to my skills, I forgot to touch base on it. My generals aren't maxed. I've had a little issues in the years as far as getting my generals up. I have stopped working on land and primarily focused on sea. See, there's shield strike going off as soon as someone hit me with the falchion. I added accuracy on one piece of general just because there's some players that have high dodge, and I wanted to be able to hit them. My dodge rate, I keep that exceptionally high just due to the fact the only thing I want to hit me is someone's tornado when they get up on me. If someone was able to get up on me and I did not have that dodge and they hammered me, I would most likely die just due to regular hits. Going on, crit strike 229. See, as I said, it's low. I do have items to change that depending on what I'm going to do. This expeditionary military will. They're about to kill me. That gives me 55 critical. So sometimes I will, depending on who it is, if it's a hitter that I know has low crit, I will put on the Expeditionary Military Will on top of my sword. I will pop the Jeweled Scabbard as well as the flag if I have it, and it'll raise my crit strike to 328. And usually that's good enough for a sword dance on a hitter to kill him in one hit. Going back to my HP right now. My HP is at 7,000. I'm not sure how it got up there. It was at 41. Anyways, so when I'm fighting someone, I will wound shot them or hammer them if they're close to me and my HP is low. I usually keep hammer ready. I don't use it right away like most people do. I will hammer them. I'll switch to my Alt 2 setup, and then I will turn my screen to face them as I'm running away. I will pop my passion, and then far enough away, I will heal myself, and as you can see, it was a 49,000 heal, which is enough to fill up my HP bar completely. And then I'll switch back to my setup and continue on with the wound shot or just firing. Let's see. As far as my generals, I have Disperse, which is a common one. Basically gets rid of hammer. Sometimes I do need that when it gets tricky, or if my HP does get low and I'm an illusionary spirit, I'll pop it. Firm Guard, common skill for most people, is heals my HP for 8 seconds. The skill's increased, it doesn't show it on here, for 3,000, so it's 24,000 HP. And then I have Hurricane Attack, which you might feel that, why do I have that? Since I'm a hitter, I should have, or I have a gun, I should have something else. Well, the reason why I have that is because a lot of times when I'm fighting, it's hardly ever a 1 versus 1 against me. And sometimes in that case, I have my skill bars down here to where I'll pop my Falchion and turn on Soul Saber as well as Hurricane Attack for anyone hitting me. I won't attack them back. I just sit there and let them hit me because there's a good chance I might not crit them and their Soul Saber will do damage to me, so I just pretty much ignore them. Most people cancel out my Soul Saber. Generally I can kill them with Hurricane Attack, and if that's not enough, I have my sword for Sword Dance, and I won't switch to critical when they're that close to me or if I'm low on HP. And then I also have my axe, which Rage of God. So talk about the skill, it's Bash. I haven't had the time to change the skills on it. Do I have any intention doing it anytime soon? Not really. And on my sword, I have Divinity. I usually put this one on first and then do my Hurricane Attack just so I can get a couple sword dances off. Moving back onto the gun. Alright, let's see. Moving back to my stats. So crit strike resist 349. I can go up to, and 32 of that is from the flag. I do have one item on that's not on me. I keep it in the bank. It's Departed Soul. It has 20 anti-crit. If I ever need to add more anti-crit, there's a couple people I do need to when I'm fighting a 1 versus 1. Prince Rhaegar is one of them, and Captain Wild is another one. Depending on if his weapon skill's going off, I know something big's coming. And then I also have the Charm right here. That will give me 35 anti-crit, which will bump it up to 384. And then the pet I use is not on me for some reason. It's in the bank. I use the Firebird Whistle, usually all the time, to increase my crit strike by 15, as well as my anti-crit by 15. And then I believe it gives you a 4,500 HP bonus. Damage reduction, I got a fairly high damage reduction for an AB. Well, just for a hitter in general, 226. So it's enough to take some hits from people. It's enough for tanks. Reaction, willpower, agility, physique, you can all see that there. I do not have an actual land flag. I've been primarily working on C, and I'll do that in another video to show my C stats. And C is pretty easy compared to land. Land's more in depth as far as counters. Let's see. I also have the Expeditionary Military Will Fighting Desire for increased damage bonus. Basically, if I'm fighting a tank that's walking towards me, I'm going to put this on for more damage bonus, and I'll bump up to 702, and with the weapon skill going off, I believe it is 762. Yes, it is. I'm going to check to see if DD's here. And we're just going to wait for that skill to go off. One skill did go off, and it just went off again, took his HP down by 15,000. Alright, see, there we go. The weapon skill just went off, and I get to pop it again. And why I have this skill is primarily for tanks to take away their HP as fast as I can, so they are unable to kill me. I'll do a wounding shot right here. As you can see, it's a 27-second wounding shot. Let's see if my weapon skill will go off again. The weapon skill did go off, but the weapon skill reset did not, which is fine. It eventually goes off. If not, it's only a minute cooldown on this. But just to have it going continuous, depending on who I'm fighting, is very nice. Moving on to my second setup, how I demonstrated in my heals, is my Alt 2 setup. Basically, this setup is maxed. Maxed in some perspective. Not so much on defense, but it has all the dodge taken care of. This armor right here actually has Devil's Blade level 5, but I felt it was pointless to have that on here since it's right now just a kind of a spare armor. I did have Power of Perishment level 5 on this, and basically if someone kills me while I'm trying to heal, they take 22,000 damage, and hopefully it's low enough to kill them. My 165 weapon, I do want to add crit strike resist on it in the future just to give myself a little more anti-crit. White Rabbit Charm, I am going to change this to an anti-crit charm here in the future. Just for the more anti-crit, probably want to add anti-crit to this falchion here. My rings, this is a newly made ring. I do have a Welkin ring. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the Welkin ring. I might change this to damage bonus when I'm PvPing and put it on the other setup just to palsy them. And basically, you can't move for 5 seconds, which is nice when it does go off. Raphael's board, 168 ring, badges, and none of them are really pimped out. This was my first armor, but I swapped it over to Power of Perishment just for this, and as you can see, it has more forges, unnecessary forges on it than I need, which isn't too bad in case someone decides to sword dance me when I'm trying to heal. Moving on, my sea battle setup drops my HP down to 45,000 plus the bird would be close to 50,000. We'll go on back to my generals again as far as what my stats are. I'm not going to show each item, just cover over what I have. I've got 300 dodge on this, 1, 2, 3. I don't have many reds. Most of my reds are in dodge. Low critical, crit resist, low damage bonus, low DR. This is where my accuracy comes in. It's on the first piece, 48 accuracy. I do have another set that's primarily DR, and I used to use that for tanking in the instance, but I'm not a CP anymore, and I believe it gave me, I had about 80 DR on it, on this portion, but like I said, I don't use it, and it's not meant for PvP. I would die a lot easier if I had that set on. That seems that DD went AFK during the video, but it's fine. Got my point across. So all my stats are here. There's definitely needs to be work on some. Whatever you see here, you half it, and that's what my stats are. So the dodge here, I have either 64 or 65 dodge from this. This one has 63. I believe it's this one. Yep, 66 right here. If I were to get 100 dodge on this, I would swap that over right here. Dodge in anti-crit, obviously, because I don't want to take too much of a hit on anti-crit. But I'm primarily working on C right now. So these are the rest of mine. I have, on this set, I have 5 total reds. Moving on. My Rage of God here, I believe it does 28,000 base. We'll find out. 24,000. I guess it varies depending on if I have. Usually I have that gun skill running, so it adds extra stats to it. And I believe that concludes it for my land stat video. If you have any questions, leave a comment, message me in game. And in my next video, I will do a C stat video regarding my figurehead, my C stats, my multiple gear sets, how I fight depending on a 1 versus 1, going over all my generals, because I only have 3 generals for land, but the other 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the other 6 are for C, and it just depends on how I fight. And it's going to change based on group fights versus single fights. And a big shout out to Lewis, my idol. Love him so much, even though he's mean to me. Peace out.